Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Marlene DeRosso. I am also known as the Women Matter Maven. It's been a while since I made a video, so I wanted to kind of get on and talk about something that I've been dealing with over the past few years. And I just feel like this video needs to be out there. So I am currently a doctoral candidate. I entered into doctoral candidacy last year in spring, so spring of 2023, which means I am currently in the dissertation phase of my doctoral studies. So needless to say, I am super excited, and I was super excited when I passed prospectus. Prospectus is the course that you take after you've done all of your coursework so that you can then, once you pass it, be known as a doctoral candidate versus a doctoral student. So it's kind of like a little promotion, so to speak. So needless to say, I'm really, really excited about it. But I wanted to make this video because no one really tells you what to look out for or what to prepare for as it related to going from a doctoral student to a doctoral candidate. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit because I have been scouring the internet and the YouTube channels of the world in the search engines to try to see if I can find other stories of women doctorates that I can relate to. So I figured let me make my own video in hopes that it could help other women who are out there on their doctoral journey. So a little bit about myself. I am what you would consider an overachiever. I am a first generation American. I am born to Haitian immigrant parents. And although I was born here in America, my Haitian immigrant parents always instilled how important and the value of an education is and what it can do in your life. So I actually never deemed myself an overachiever. I didn't know what to call it, but as I kind of talk to people, because I'm branching out into doing different things, meeting new people, started my own business, and they're like, oh, so you're just quite the overachiever. So I said, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe I am. So um, as a avid learner, after graduating high school, I went on to pursue my bachelor's degree, went and got my master's degree. After my master's degree, I pursued a certification as a licensed certified public accountant. I currently work as a CFO for my organization. And one of the last things for me to do, because it was a goal of mine, I said to myself, either I need to be done with my doctorate by the time I'm 40, or I want to at least start the journey by the time I turn 40. So here we are. I turned 40 in 2021, and I embarked on this doctoral journey in December of 2020, right during the pandemic. I said, now or never. So all of that to say, I was really excited to get started as a doctoral candidate, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it's important to kind of highlight that because we do have dreams and aspirations. And yes, I am an avid student, but each time you work towards leveling up and increasing your educational knowledge, it doesn't come without its own fair share of just challenges. And the older you get, of course, we can accomplish anything that we put our mind to because women are inherently, we're just great like that. But it's hard, right? So there's no sugarcoating because the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, whether it's with your career, your relationships, your family. And it was a little bit difficult, right? So I have to tell you that the first 2 years of my doctoral journey, I was taking pretty much what's called coursework. That's how they deem it. And of course, I have to make another video about perimenopause because all of a sudden I'm hot. I was sitting here recording the whole time and I was fine, and now I feel like I'm burning up, right? So pardon me for fanning myself. I don't want to stop the video and start over. So as a doctoral student, the first 2 years involved doing what's called coursework. My specialization is in business, and I am seeking a degree in organizational leadership. And with that, I had to choose a focus for my research, and it is something centered around women. And it just falls in line with everything that I kind of believe in and wanting to help empower women as it relates to everything that they have going on in their life. So I thought it only natural to try to seek out a research that focused on women. So with that, a lot of the courses that were part of coursework centered around just learning about business courses, quantitative methods, qualitative methods, statistics, how to do research, how to put together, what are those things called? Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. But focusing in on your writing skills. So a lot of the assignments that I had in the beginning really had to do with enhancing and building upon the writing skills that were necessary. It's referred to as scholarly writing in order to prepare for when you're ready to write your dissertation research paper. So I really enjoyed a lot of my early classes. My professors were actually really great. And the school that I'm in, they offer a one-to-one learning type environment. So I always had firsthand and one-on-one interaction with the professor or the instructor for the course. So that I thought was really, really cool because as busy as I am, it took me back to when I was doing my master's. And I remember one of the parts that I didn't like was this whole thing of having to post in a forum and being part of like a discussion and having to post by a certain day and waiting for the rest of the class to engage in the discussion forum. And I just didn't like that. So I love that that wasn't part of my program. It's really about just learning the topic for that particular moment and making sure that you understand it enough to do the research, how to properly do research, how to present your writing in a way that is paraphrased accordingly so that you're not involved in any plagiarism, things of that nature, because the schools take that very, very seriously. You cannot plagiarize. You cannot copy and paste other people's work into your work. That's just insanity, right? So that was kind of like the first 2 years, right? Just based on the different courses that I took. And I really enjoyed how, as part of the course assignments, they focus on having specialization courses based on what you're specializing in. So because I was doing organizational leadership, some of my specialization courses centered around conflict resolution, mediation, things that have to do with sustainability of an organization, organizational culture, leadership in itself, the different ways that leadership has evolved, things of that nature. So I found that it was really, really, interesting. And I don't really remember having a negative experience with any one professor in particular, for any one particular reason. All of them were pretty reasonable. Outside of this one professor who, before I learned about, it was like my first or second class, and before I learned about making sure that I ran my paper through a tool that's called Turnitin to make sure you check for plagiarism. I was so excited. I worked my butt off. I submitted my final for the course, and they have about 2 days to grade it and post the final grade. And when I found that I got an F, oh my gosh, I nearly lost my mind. I immediately emailed her. I'll never forget. It was like a Memorial Day weekend. And thank goodness she was able to respond. And she basically told me that she didn't really look at the paper. So it wasn't the content that caused me to get an F. It was when she ran it through Turnitin, the percentage that it came back as was too high for the institution's requirements. So I said, okay, not a problem. I'll rework it. That's when I really learned the valuable thing about Turnitin. So you have to make sure you rework your papers to make sure you're paraphrasing and things of that nature. So although a lot of what was cited was also my own work, you still want to get that percentage down, right? So I was able to do that, and I got my A, and that was that. Um, so I know as I was trying to navigate those first 2 years, and I know I wanted to do my research around something that centered around women, but I just wanted to make sure that it was the type of research I felt that would really be beneficial to the body of scholarly work that is available, and not just adding a woman-centered research just for the sake of adding a woman-centered research. So I grappled a lot with what I wanted my topic to be. So long story short, I finally decided on doing something about infertility and women in leadership. But because it hadn't been done before, I really had no sense of direction or, how to put it together. I had no sense of how to organize it, how to present it. I just didn't know. I know I wanted to do infertility and women in leadership. So with that, I scheduled a few meetings with some of my professors and talked to them about it. And, it was funny because they really felt excited for the type of research that I wanted to do and also knew that it would be beneficial in terms of adding to the body of scholarly work that's available, adding to the literature. But they also felt that because it wasn't done before, I would be embarking on something that was a little bit tricky and difficult, which would probably prolong my time being enrolled as a student. And one of them made a comment to me like, yes, we can see that you're on a mission to save the world. And actually, we want you to take us with you, but our main goal is to get you to graduate, right? So although I felt good about the fact that some of the professors agreed with the importance of the research that I wanted to do, I also felt a little defeated thinking, okay, man, really, should I do this? It might be a little hard, all this other stuff. So I still kept it in the back of my brain, but I had a backup assignment or not assignment, had a backup research topic in my head just in case. So fast forward to spring of 2023. So that means I've been at it over 2 years at this point. And my instructor for that prospectus class I was telling you about, in the prospectus class is where you put together your research topic. You're presenting like a preliminary proposal of what your research will be. So you have an introduction. You talk about what method you want to use, what methodology you're going to do the research with. You talk about the background of your research. You do a little bit of a literature review on the research to kind of put topics together that's kind of been studied before. And you talk about how you're going to analyze your data. So basically a preliminary pre-proposal, so to speak. And once that was accepted, I was well on my way to trying to actually put the paper together. So the good thing is that the instructor that was my prospectus instructor, the CMP course, he also was or is my current chairperson as part of my dissertation committee. So it was really, really good. And I have to tell you that I love him to death. Like the level of motivation and inspiration that this professor has given me is just bar none. And the reason why I say that is because at our first meeting, because when you're on this level, remember you're at a one-on-one, so you can schedule weekly Zooms or you can put your emails together. You're literally in it together with this professor, and he made me feel so comfortable to the point where when we started talking about my topic and the type of research that I wanted to do, I felt so comfortable that I didn't shy away from really telling him, okay, well, this is what I'm presenting to you as my topic, but in actuality, this is what I want to study, right? And I kind of was a little reluctant to tell him, but again, that first meeting was I felt so comfortable that I'm like, okay, well, this is where we are, just to kind of see what he says. And he was kind of quiet and just was kind of, thinking. I can tell he was thinking. And in my brain, I said, oh boy, here I go again, complicating it. Everybody tells me to focus on what I need to graduate. And here I am, complicating things. And little did you guys know, he started spilling out ideas and just ways of coming about it, and my heart just opened up. I just felt so validated. I felt so supported. I felt so heard and understood, right? And he said, and I also explained to him what the other instructors told me. And, he goes, I'm not going to speak negatively because in essence, it is a goal of ours to make sure that you graduate. But at the same time, the beauty of being in a doctoral program is to do a research that will add substance and value to the literature that already exists out there. So he was really excited about us doing it. So needless to say, just so I can fast forward a little bit, he gave me a task because we both agreed that this topic with the infertility and leadership and things of that nature, it really wasn't something that was available. Like, no one had really done it in the aspect that I was coming at it from. So he said, what I'm going to challenge you with is the first 3 weeks of the first course that I registered in, which was 9901, which is to get chapter 1 done. He goes, I'm going to challenge you with doing the first 3 to 4 weeks assignments on both topics. So for about 3 weeks to a month, whatever was due for week one, I was submitting both topics, my backup topic and what I found for infertility. And I did it for the same thing for submission for week two, week three. So, and in the meantime, we're meeting and reviewing. He's giving feedback on both sets of assignments. And I have to tell you that after about week two, going into week three, he said, I'm really comfortable with you doing it. Even with the little you were able to find, you're presenting it in a way that we can definitely build upon, coming from a different aspect of it. So I think that you should just go ahead and switch over to the infertility topic. So I felt really good, and he commended me on my ability to, focus on doing the hard work that it took to juggle both, because I really cared about really doing the one. And the other one would have been good too, but I think it's been done before, although from a different angle. But I really wanted to focus on the infertility because outside of everything else, I am a infertility survivor, and my business is based around my book, which I first wrote about my infertility journey. And part of that incorporated how I was able to navigate a leadership role at my job. I've been at my company for 22 years in a leadership position, and it's something that no one really talks about or, cared to investigate yet. So, but yet so many people are dealing with it. So I was really, really happy about that. So I say that to say I got through that first chapter, chapter one, which was the 9901 course. And in my brain, I'm doing good. Everything is great. Oh my gosh. And then, okay, so let me back up a little bit more. So in the midst of doing all of this, I am the mom of 3 boys, and I have my big son, Richard. He's my kid that I always say, everybody knows this if you know me, my one kid that didn't cause me any labor pains. He's been with me or in my life since he was 2. So I have 4 boys in the home. And listen, it's a lot, right? And remember, I told you I'm in a leadership role at my company. I'm the CFO. So there's a lot of responsibility as it relates to that. And in the meantime, we were dealing with COVID. The kids had, distance learning, and it was just a mess, just a lot going on. And, trying to make sure I keep up my relationship also with my husband, because my decision to go back to school also was contingent upon making sure I had the in-home support that I needed to be able to get away if and when I needed to be able to cultivate what I needed for school. And it was tricky because sometimes I had to hide in the garage to record certain videos for my submission. Those first 2 years, sometimes part of the assignment was recording my presentation so you can work on your presentation skills, your speaking skills, creating PowerPoint. So it was really, really tough, right? So in addition to that, just having the support of my husband and navigating all of that just was really important to me as well. So in the midst of doing all of that, I have the 4 boys. So I have Big Rich, and then I have twin boys. When I started this, they're going to the 6th grade now. They're going to middle school, and I'm almost done. Oh, thank God. So let's say they were a little younger. They're 2nd and 3rd grade when I started this, and then I have my kindergartner who he just graduated kindergarten. The twins graduated 5th grade, and he's on his way to 1st grade. The twins are on their way to 6th grade, middle school. So needless to say, I have a lot going on, and embarking on dissertation in my brain, I figured, okay, I'll just attack it and approach it the same way, because I'm going to give a little bit of background in terms of how I'm able to do it, because I'm really a plan person, a list person, checklist, checking things off, prioritizing. Okay. And when I say prioritizing, I might have a priority for this week one day, and then the first day of the week, things go, crazy. So I have to rearrange the list, to do what's more important, what's priority. So that, and trying to stick to that schedule is what really helped me get through this. Because other than that, you'll be scattered and all over the place, and then nothing will get done. So I try to segment my time when in this schedule, incorporated time for the children, time for my husband, time for my friends. And there were a lot of things that I had to say no to, but the ones that I weren't able to say no to, then I tried to make sure I fitted in a schedule and not let anyone down, right? And sometimes I needed a break away from all the studying and the writing and the research. Like, it was a lot. So I thought that I would, approach dissertation the same way that I did coursework. And no, it's a totally different beast. It's a totally different bear. it's like you're creating the substance of your research, and you can't just leave it to, oh, okay, well, I've met week one's requirement for submission, so I'm just going to turn it in. Like, it doesn't work like that. I can even do another video on the breakdown of the coursework as it relates to regular courses and what you're doing in the dissertation, right? So the good thing about each chapter of the dissertation, there is a checklist in the chapter. And remember, I told you, you meet with your chairperson every week. So you go over each segment at a time. And in one of my cases, when it was time to do the second course, which is 9902, and in 9902, chapter 2 and 3 is what, was due. And in my brain, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm going to approach it like I did chapter 1 and just kind of go through the checklist, make sure I do everything, write it up, cite it, APA style, get my references going, everything. No, it took me longer to finish 9902, which I'm finally happy to say that I'm done, which is why I'm making this video so that I can move on to 9903. But it took me longer because in the beginning, I tried to rush it. So I spent 4 to 5 weeks fixing what I did, fixing meaning going back section by section, versus if I would have taken each section at a time, like the professor told me, then I probably would have been further ahead much sooner, right? So I learned my lesson with that. And it was a good learning experience because each chapter in itself, you approach it a different way. And I was trying to approach chapter 3. I did chapter 1 first, then I went into chapter 3, which is the methodology chapter, methods, data collection, that type of thing, analysis, like how you're going to put all that together. So chapter 3 is different in terms of how you put it together than chapter 1. And both of those are different than chapter 2, not only in how you put it together, but also how you write it. So chapter 2 is literature review, and you can't just write and cite. You can't do that. You have to synthesize. Okay. We learned this new word, synthesis. And I have to tell you that, listen, the schools did not prepare us doctoral candidates on this synthesis business, because we were so used to making sure that you're not plagiarizing, you present the information in a certain way, you cite your sources, making sure your reference list is accurate and matches what it is that you put in the paper. But the way you synthesize, it's a totally different organization and presentation of the information. So that was a lot. Okay. So with that being said, it was really a struggle for me to get through chapter 2, in the sense that professor and I were ready for it, because even he, just thank goodness for him. For instance, let me give you an example. Like, because there's been no research on infertility and how people's leadership changes after experiencing infertility. That's basically my topic, but specifically to women, you can't look up leader morphology or leadership morphology, right, as it relates to the leader. So then it was just, okay, how do we approach it? Do we approach it from a sense of leader identity, right? Like, how did they identify first? What causes them to identify the certain way? Is their leader identity fed by trauma, induced issues, or is it experience induced issues? You talk about women in the workplace, feminine leadership versus male leadership, the barriers that women face when they are trying to obtain a leadership position. And now one of them is family building and just family responsibilities, because the literature does show and point out that women are tasked more than men with the family-centered responsibilities. So there's a lot of roles going on, male roles versus female roles. The women are tasked more with the homemaking role, but at the same time, they're also leaders in their organization. So how do you navigate that discrimination in the workplace because of your gender? So it was just very layered and just compounded on top of each other. So it was very difficult to try to put everything together. And we spent many a nights using resources from the library, and there's a research person in the library that helps you basically try to find references and sources to support your research. So we were with a research librarian maybe 5 to 6 times. The professor on his own searching for me, I'm searching for me, the two of us searching together and chatting with the research librarian. I had 2 official actual specific designated research librarian appointments, right? Where we're going through it and we're trying to find different articles and scholarly journals, other dissertations. So it was very, very intense. Okay. And in the meantime, like I said, we're navigating, taking care of these children, trying to get to work. And let's not even talk about the fact that I'm over 40 now. And a lot of women, maybe who are in their 40s, haven't been really dealing with that period between regular menstruation and menopause. I'm in that perimenopause state, and some women mainly deal with that mid to late 40s. I have to tell you that I think mine started late 30s, postpartum with my last baby. But now that I'm 43, it really has kicked in, and it was getting progressively worse to the point where last year, 2023, I was out of it maybe 3 to 4 months. I couldn't drive. My anxiety was really bad. I was in the emergency room. I was hospitalized twice, 2 days each time, one in 2021, one in 2023. And now that we've put everything together and all of my practitioners have come together collectively and collaborating on my care plan and how to help me get better, we've all realized that that's what was so out of whack. It's all my hormones and the stress and everything as it relates to the perimenopause. But I'll make another video about that. So dealing with that is tough. And the reason why I brought it up is because, when I was younger, as many people, you can do it all. You get up, you go to work during the day. First of all, half the time you don't sleep, because if you were a partier, right, in the past, my husband and I love to dance, and we would go dancing, leaving the dance party maybe 3, 4, 5 in the morning, get maybe 1 to 3 hours of sleep, get up, go to work your entire 8 to 10 hour shift, just depending on what was going on that day. And you come home, okay, well, we're figuring out dinner, you're living your life, and normal, right? And you're still able to function. Well, that was not my case. As I got older, I had to really pivot and tweak my schedule a little bit. And that's why sometimes I wasn't able to do a lot with my family or personal on the weekend, because I had to use the weekend mornings, Saturday and Sunday, or definitely one of them, which was Sunday. Because Saturday I would sometimes need to go around running errands. My husband is great as that. He knows I don't like the grocery store. So for me to go, he goes with me. And it's always been like that in our relationship. Thank God, because I just hate it. So we would, so sometimes I would use Saturday mornings to go and run errands and things of that nature. But I mentioned that again, let me tell you, because now, or more recent, when I would get off of work and say, okay, I'm going to study until, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not able to. You can't. You're tired. Well, not only am I tired, my brain is not at 100%. You're bogged down mentally because of the tasking work that you had during the day. And then when I get home, thank goodness for, my big son, Rich, he would always start homework with the kids, to the point where now that they're older, they know the routine: come home, take off their clothes, take a shower, grandma has dinner ready for them. After that, homework, right? And so we've empowered them to start it on your own and leave any questions you have until the end. So by the time I'm getting home, I don't get off until, I don't have a typical 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 job. I don't get off until 6, 6:30, 7. So when I'm walking through the door, it's 7, 7:30. So that's just in time for, for the kids to have me check their assignment, right, that they have. So sometimes if they don't understand, that I'm spending that extra hour or so with them to make sure we go over the homework. So by now it's 8:30, right? And then I'm in either my shower trying to unwind. And even though it was on my calendar that day to study or do a particular chapter or do some kind of research, I like to keep something checked off each week as it related to my research. Even though that was the plan, that's not what happened, because by then mentally I'm tapped out, physically I'm tapped out, I'm going to bed, right? So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I want to just hear more of other people's stories, because this is the type of stuff they don't prepare you for. But that's neither here nor there. Just want to share my experience in hope of helping someone else. So I had to tweak my schedule a little bit. So for the past 6 to 9 months, after recovering from my stint in the emergency room and not being able to drive and all of that, I started to feel better around last October, October, November, more October. So it's been about 6, 7 months now is where I tweaked my schedule, where Saturdays, like I told you, I would try to get, because I have clarity in the morning. I'm clear in the morning. I can get up and I can do my work. I can study, do my research. I'll go to the library. So whenever I can get to the library, I would do that. On days during the week where I had to get something done because that weekend was busy, then I would have I remember I wasn't driving, so my coworkers would take me to the library, and then my husband would pick me up when the library closes at 10 or 11. But because I was in that specific setting, I was able to focus and get that particular assignment or topic or research or whatever it is done, right? So the weekend rolled around, and I wasn't able to do it a lot, but that's what the weekend was for. And if I didn't have anything due, I would go to the library and get that type of, structured study, focused writing in. And then on Sundays, I would have the house to myself for a few hours. My husband would take the kids to church, and then after church, they had Sunday school, and they would be there. So I'd have the house to myself maybe between like 10 a.m. and about like 2, because sometimes, a lot of times after Sunday school, they'd stop by to see the family, whoever, go to the GameStop or something. So I used that time on Sunday mornings to really hone in on whatever I needed to finish, because a lot of the assignments or due dates that I had were to be submitted Sunday night by midnight. And because it's on Arizona time, it's actually Monday morning at 2 a.m., overnight. But I tried my best to use Sunday to kind of be the catch-all ending to whatever I needed for submission that week. So I know that was a lot, but that's technically what I had to do almost every day to make sure that I was able to keep up with the workload, the research schedule, the task schedule, the kids, in the midst of this, you have appointments, children are going to the dentist, they're going to the doctor, somebody might be sick, it was just so much, going on. So with that, I just found it very, very difficult, because no one really prepares you for everything that you have to do as it relates to getting through this dissertation and living this life. And what I'll probably do too in subsequent videos is give an example of maybe a month's worth of weekly schedules, and how I was able to break down everything, so that maybe that can be helpful, to other women as well that are undergoing their dissertation. So with that being said, I'm happy to say that I finally was able to get the approval for my chapter 3. I got chapter 3 approved last year after Thanksgiving. And then I got chapter 2 approved this year. I want to say in the month of June. Okay. Hi, Pops. I'll be with you right quick. Okay. So I got this year chapter 2 approved earlier this month. These are my kids that are coming home. My 2 brother-in-laws took them to a family party at a park, so they've been gone. So I was taking that time to get my videos in. So sorry about that. Okay, so chapter 1 was approved last year. I want to say May, June, and then I got sick last year, summer, got better in the fall, got chapter 3. I did chapter 3 instead of chapter 2 second. So I got chapter 3 approved a little after Thanksgiving, and I've been working on chapter 2 since basically December or January through now. I just got chapter 2 approved in June, because the research was just really a lot trying to do the literature review due to the lack of information and sources that were out there already on the topic that I was trying to study. So I'm just really happy because I'm able to get through it, and I finally have submitted my proposal to my committee. So it's in review now. So I feel like the next 3 weeks I can do some work ahead type assignments, because before I can actually do my study and actually start recruiting participants and conducting the studies, I have to get what's called Institutional Review Board approved. So it's the IRB for short, and the IRB has to approve the study and everything. So I'm hoping to get through my paper that's in review right now by the committee, the whole proposal, chapter 1, 2, 3, the references, my informed consent, my interview protocol, eligibility requirements, recruitment eligibility, things of that nature. All of that is with the committee, and they take 3 weeks to review it. So I'm just hoping that that comes back okay, or at least with minimal questions or updates that they need, because once that's done, my next step would be to submit that IRB application so that the university itself can review everything now, because it's already been approved by my committee. My committee consists of 3 people: my chairperson, which is the one I meet with weekly, my subject matter expert, the item goes to him, after the chair looks at it, and finally the academic reader. So that's who consists and comprised of my committee. So once the committee looks at it, I put in the Institutional Review Board application, and they take about a week or 2 to review it and approve it. So once I receive that IRB approval letter, then I'll be good to start recruiting and to start conducting my research. So I'm super, super excited. I'm using these 3 weeks because that's the average time that it takes for the committee to give me an approval. So I'm trying to use these 3 weeks to, one, rest because I have to remember to take it easy, and two, just trying to catch up on some other things that I need to do, for instance, like putting out content on my YouTube page. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really tricky, but I feel very fulfilled. I feel very happy. And I love that I'm doing this as something that other women like me and the girls that are coming behind me can look up to and see how, hey, if she can do it, they can do it too. And you just stick to what it is that you want to do in terms of making a difference in the world. And you can definitely do it, right? And it doesn't come without its challenges. Like I said, I can put different videos out about the specifics relating to different topics when you're trying to navigate this, but it is overwhelmingly fulfilling, and you get a sense of that you're contributing, to the world, which is important to me. So with that being said, that's it for now. I just wanted to talk about my dissertation experience, and while I wait for my proposal to be reviewed and approved so that we can move on. And I'll be back with more information. And I also wanted to shout out a particular dissertation coach, I don't remember her name, that I went and did a dissertation boot camp. And I'll put it into the next video as well, dissertation boot camp. And there's just something that's very nice about having a community. And this boot camp consisted of, is Dr. Amy Boyd. That's who it is. Dr. Amy Boyd, Boyd. She started a dissertation boot camp company, and that company is literally there to help build that community among women doctoral candidates, women who are on their doctoral journey, and to help them be able to have that safe space and sense of like-mindedness to get through everything that they're doing with their dissertation. And I have to tell you, I embarked on that. She had a free 2-day virtual boot camp on a Saturday and a Sunday morning in March. It's either February or March, and I attended that, and that really helped give me that kick to reboot and keep going to focus on getting that done, because to see just on the Zoom the amount of women that were in the same boat and just trying to better themselves and learn more and do what they're doing so that they can help others, it really is an inspiration. So there is something really gratifying and also humbling about having community, because you know that you're not alone on this journey. So if there's any other things in particular you'd like to know, or you just want to add comments, definitely do so in the comments below, and look out for more videos from me as it relates to that. So thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I'm Marlene. I am this aspiring doctoral candidate. I'm in my dissertation sequence. I can't wait to be done, and I'll talk to you guys next time.